Today is Monday, July the 14th. Happy Bastille Day. I lost a little bit of money today, not very much, under $1,000, with the positions that I hold, but I have 40%, 45% cash. A little bit less cash today because I did make two trades. One, I rolled the Whirlpool short 145 calls, which only had 95 cents left on them. So I got about 60% of my profit, and I rolled into next week's 145s for a whopping amount of $3.96 each. So that is going to be very nice, because I do expect Whirlpool to maintain its position. I also purchased 400 more Caterpillar at $139.43, but I sold next week's 140 calls for $2.45. If magically I am called away on it, somebody takes it for 140 this week so that they can get the $1.03 dividend, that's fine. I'll get to keep the $2.45. But I don't think they're going to take it away from me, so there'll be another $1.03 coming in the dividend. Today's advancers and decliners were flat. The Dow dropped on the open, the Nasdaq dropped up on the open, and the S&P dropped on the open, and all had relatively low volume. The S&P finished up 1 point higher. The Nasdaq finished up 14 and the Dow up 27. Boeing must be dragging this stock down, but I don't look at Boeing, so there you have it. So what does that mean for our oscillator? Our oscillator started the day, let's just refresh this, but it's clustered just a little bit above zero, and it will stay there tomorrow. So we have this happening again, and the last time that happened, we broke to the bottom. When it happened in the oversold area, we dropped a bit and broke to the top. So when we cluster like this, we tend to move in the opposite direction. Well, that's not true. We clustered here and then we dropped even further. So let's just say that the market right now is living on Fed oxygen and nothing else. Citibank reported good earnings today, but for the rest of the week and the next 2 weeks, we have lots of earnings coming out. And I think I tweeted something like about 70% of the companies that have reported are reporting that the next quarter will be lower than the third quarter of last year. That's due to the tariffs and the strong US dollar. So let's look at the charts. The S&P 500, let's move everything to 1 day. And I was not near my computer today except for making those two trades, but there's that trend line that we've got our eyes on, and we made a move towards that trend line and pulled back. Trend lines are funny things. Everybody draws them a little bit differently. I could have just as easily taken this trend line here, let's say, and drawn it there. That might even be a fairer representation, because this is the top of a candle, this is the top of an open, this is the top of 2 candles, 3 candles. What does that mean? It means we've hit the trend line. In fact, we hit the trend line on Friday. So that may be all she wrote. But if somebody else decides to draw their trend line a little bit higher at this point right here, but in retrospect, I think this is the new trend line. We've hit the trend line, and now it's going to take an awful lot for our stock market to go higher, especially when the oscillator shows that money is frozen. Our next stock is, of course, Apple. I no longer hold any Apple. Apple was up today $1.89 at 205.19. I just feel that it's better to be out of the market in Apple right now with their earnings coming up and the uncertainty about China and just overall uncertainty in the market. And there are so many people bullish on the market that causes me to be pessimistic. I was wrong the last time. When we hit 2,000, I figured we were going to pull back, and we really didn't. We just blew up to 3,000 with one serious pullback. So I missed a lot of the last run up from 2000 to 2400. Am I wrong again? Better to be safe than sorry, and I am a very conservative trader. Caterpillar. Caterpillar is the one that I purchased today, and it came up and it hit. Let's move these Fibonacci's out of the way. It hit the gap and pulled back. This is what you always see, is sellers staying at waiting at the bottom of a gap, and eventually they will move back in, but they've taken some profits, and it pulled back quite a bit from the open, but it finished up a little bit higher, just over 78.2%. And my wife is in Minneapolis, and there's a big storm there, and that's what she's texting me about. Oh, come on. Gold, little iron cross type of doji. I'm still just a half a position. Whirlpool, this is the stock that I rolled because we had this great pullback. We pulled back and we finished at the 8 EMA. Any movement higher in the market yesterday, and Whirlpool will go with it. Whirlpool could also come down and test this trend line yet again, and could fail the trend line. Oftentimes with this type of a valley type thing, you just see the stocks leaping over a valley like that. If it's too small to come down and touch, the magnetism isn't there because it's too small, it'll leap over. So we might make contact with the trend line again, and it might be out here on August the 15th, and it'll just churn under 145, which is why I'm selling the 145 premium to lower my cost and take advantage of what I feel is going to be Whirlpool just being stable or pulling back slightly. But it's all going to be dependent on the market and how much greed there is out here. WHC had its first red day in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days, so more than a week, and a little bit of a pullback. But as I tweeted this morning, it pulled back at 78.2%, which again is what you'd expect. And short-term traders who have benefited from this bounce off the cloud will have been selling here, but I am not. I am still confident that it will come up and it will break through the cloud, through the 78.2. But if we do have another pullback tomorrow, I will take some off the table because I was buying back here. So I've got an awful lot of profit built in. Let's just look at the weekly. And the weekly shows us that the Chiku span, well, of course it did, but price bounced off the 78.2% on the weekly as well. And that is the last time it bounced off, the weekly bounced off the 78.2, we had this massive pullback. So I will be watching, and I'm going to set an alert right here. And if we go and we cross through 54.1, I will be looking to take half my position off, because today I collected the dividend. The ex-dividend date was some time ago, but today the dividend was placed in my account, and so I just want to wait for the next time that they call a dividend. And we're back to the S&P. So thank you very much. Let's wait and see what happens tomorrow, but I expect that this trend line is going to be formidable.